Hello and welcome to another episode of FPL Bandwagons. This is for Game Week 2, which means we've already had Game Week 1 and we've already had our first round of matches. First of all, before we go any further, be careful that this weekend has the first Friday night Premier League match, which means that the deadline for FPL is earlier than ever before. It's Friday evening, so hurry up with your transfers. It might catch a few people out. So last week, how did it go? It wasn't as earth-shattering as last year. There was no Riyad Mahrez, 5.5 million, who decided to go on a haul. The main haul was for Coutinho, but he's worth 8 million. He scored twice as Liverpool won at Arsenal 4-3. Most people, I suppose, have had a decent score boosted by making Sergio Aguero captain. If you made him captain, he'd give you 18 points. So even though it looks a little bit better for everyone, it's just a high scoring week in general. There were only 2 clean sheets last week, and they were for West Brom and for Swansea. So a lot of people who had Jordi Amat as their cheap 5th choice defender came up smelling of roses. It's at the time of year where if a player loses 0.1 million in value, if the price drops, it's virtually $500,000 because it's so early in the game that every 0.1 of a million counts. Later on in the season, it's not a big deal. But right now, if your team value goes down to 99.9 million, you're severely limited as to what you can do with it. So I advise you to keep on top of any price changes. There are a few websites out there, Fantasy Football Fix, FPL Statistics. So let's get started with our first bandwagons of the year. I'm going to have 4 this week because there's so much chaos from last week. First of all, Coutinho, as we mentioned, he scored 15 points at the Emirates. He scored 2 goals, got all the bonuses, and he's a very frustrating player at the best of times. He's in a team where, I, like many of us, plumped for Firmino, but he's in a team where Coutinho, Firmino, Mane, Wijnaldum, all at any given time could just go off on one. It's going to be really hard to call this year on any given week which one is going to be it. That could become a problem. Right now, Coutinho has gone up in price. He's gone up to 8.1 million. They've got Burnley away. It's another away game while work is being done at Anfield. In fact, 3 of their next 4 are away from home, so that might be something to consider. They are tough games. But I would say get on the Coutinho bandwagon, but be careful because he is very unpredictable, and that haul could be it for the next month. Kingsley at Swansea, he is worth £4 million. He was another one like Amat who got a clean sheet at Burnley and for the lowest price possible. So he's already gone up to 4.1 million. He got 2 bonuses as well, a total of 8 points. But I would still, despite that, say keep off this bandwagon because, okay, he's got Hull this weekend and he might play. He probably will play. But after that, Neil Taylor's back, and at best, Kingsley is going to rotate with Taylor, and that's still not good enough. It's not a long-term option. It's not really a medium-term option. It's an immediate short-term option at best. So I would advise to stay off. Alvaro Negredo, I would say get on this bandwagon. There's a lot of 6.5 million strikers, and I would have started with him over Shea Long, but there was a little bit of uncertainty because Jordan Rhodes, also at Middlesbrough, had a very good pre-season. And last week there was a lot of big players who started off on the bench and were eased into the season. I thought Negredo would have been one. I was wrong. He started. He scored against Stoke. It was him over Rhodes, and he's also gone up in value. He's 6.6 million. He has fantastic games, a very good understanding already with Gaston Ramirez. Up next is away at Sunderland in the Weir Tees derby. But that's the first of many decent games. So I would say, yeah, go for Negredo. I would say stay off the bandwagon for Ross Barkley. He is very inconsistent. He did score a free kick against Tottenham. And to be fair to him, he had a good season last year. He scored 8 goals, got 9 assists, and was part of the template team for a while. He was very highly owned. And as the season wore on, it sort of dried up from a bit. He's not a player I would trust, and at his price, I would say there are more appealing options. But he has 8. Well, in his next 8 games, he has at least 7 fantastic games. The other one's Man City, but it's really a remarkable run of fixtures for Everton. So if you want coverage, could it be Lukaku? Could it be Barkley? Could you wait to see if they get a Juan Mata? I don't know. But personally, I would perhaps for now say no to Ross Barkley. So we're up to Team of the Week, as you can see right here. Vorm in goal for Tottenham. I think it's a very good shout to get Tottenham defensive coverage. They were home to Crystal Palace, but Hugo Lloris is injured for 4 weeks. We haven't mentioned, by the way, that Andre Ayew, 4-month injury, which wrecked my plans. It's wrecked many people's plans. It maybe makes Feghouli more appealing, Payet more appealing, but man, that was a real blow. It feels so bad for him. But Tottenham are going to have Michel Vorm in goal whilst Lloris is injured, so he's probably worth having. In defence, Swansea have Hull at home. Hull did beat Leicester, but you would still look at that as a good shout for a clean sheet, as well as John Terry at Watford and Lemmy Nkone. He's 6'4". He's a threat attacking wise. Sunderland looks solid defensively. They were under Allardyce and they didn't capitulate at Man City. They were home to Middlesbrough. It's a good shout, I would say. Midfield, Dimitri Payet, if he's back, he's on form, he's on set pieces. At home to a Bournemouth side who concede a lot. Eden Hazard scored last week. Very, very happy with that. Away to Watford. Sigurdsson, if he starts, he has to really. It's Hull, set pieces, essential option. And Coutinho has the momentum of last week in the game of Burnley. Up front, Aguero, never go against Aguero, especially when he scored last weekend. He scored a hat-trick in midweek, although he did miss 2 penalties. But Pep Guardiola says, or he's hinted, that Aguero is still going to keep the spot duties. Alongside him, Jermaine Defoe, Sunderland at home to Middlesbrough, as mentioned before. It's a very good shout. Defoe scores no matter who, no matter what. He scored at the Etihad against Man City. I'd say he's almost nailed on to score at least 1. And the last one, Harry Kane. Yeah, he looks a bit tired. And there's the Moussa Dembele theory in that last season, the 11 games that Moussa Dembele was missing, Kane only scored once. And Dembele is still serving a 6-match suspension carried over from last season. So would you trust Harry Kane? Well, I would have some sort of Tottenham coverage. They're against Crystal Palace. It's a very good game for them. So I've got Aguero, Defoe and Kane. Well, that's it for another episode of FPL Bandwagons. Best of luck to everyone. Hope you have a good week. Hope things start to settle down transfer-wise and the prices are a little bit less volatile. So, see you next week.